All right, let's talk about the waders that I use. Probably one of the more essential fishing items if you're going to be a trout angler, really be successful trout angler, steelhead angler, you need to have some waders. Everybody's got their price point. Yes, it's true. The thumbnail's true. I spent $1,164 on this wader, these waders, this belt, and the boots that I'm wearing. To cut to the chase, I'm super happy with what I bought. The boots are the cheapest Korker boots they made in 2023. They were called the Buckskin. At the end of the review, or at the end of the wader part of this review, I'll be having something about the boots that I did in the office setting. Show you a little bit more detail why those are a completely acceptable boot at that price point and something you should take a look at. The waders, why did I spend $999 on Grundens waders at my local fly shop? Because I was frustrated with pinhole leaks. Excuse me, the pinhole leaks that form on the seams of all the other waders that on the market that have the seam going right down the inseam of your leg where it rubs together and kind of rubs really good on brush and other grass and stuff you're going through in the river. I've been wearing waders for a long time. I've had a career in fishery science. I love fishing. I've been wearing waders for 25 years plus. So I've seen them all the way from neoprene all the way up to the real expensive stuff. I'll tell you right now, you get it right out in the first couple minutes, they're totally worth it. These are the best waders I've ever worn. These are the Pro Max Zip. I'll write the correct name in there. I've never had a zipper pair of waders before. These are amazing. They make easy getting in and out of these things, and they make it easy when you need to go to the bathroom out of the river. You're not climbing in and out of stuff. I did upgrade the belt when I went to do some homework for this review. I looked in the box where I have some of the soles for the Korker boots, which I'll talk about at the end. I don't know who makes this belt. I've seen other people wearing it. Maybe it's the Sims belt. I think it has the Sims fish on it. Upgrade to the high quality Sims belt. You'll thank yourself for it. It's got a nice stretch, a nice feel to it. I stick my net in the back here. These waders, I'll write the size in there, but they're like the large king. I got a big upstairs so I can stick a coat in here. I got a lot of room in my thighs so I can climb up and around. And so they've been completely durable. The amazing thing on these waders is the design. The seam, I don't know if you can see it, but the seam runs right down this way and goes in the back part of my leg and across the front right here to the back. So there's no seams on the front side where you're pushing through brush, grass, and other stuff as you're going fishing, getting to the fishing spot. So after 2 solid years, winter and summer and fall of use, there's no leaks in these waders. There's no seams rubbing together. They're amazingly comfortable. They're amazingly dry. They're amazingly easy to take on and off. And I'm super happy with them. The other thing that is different about these waders that you'll find is they have a very large shoulder strap in here around the back and stuff. And so real comfortable, real easy to wear. They got some quality pockets, holding all my steelhead slammers in here, a knife, nippers, enough room for my hands in there. And then of course there's 2 right here on the inside, the front of that, and then the key pocket that's in here where I have the key. And so if you are frustrated or are frustrated like I was from pinhole leaks and trying to patch them with Aqua Seal, and then, oh man, I didn't get that one, and the inside of your leg is super wet but your foot's not, or your hole right in here is all wet, the inside of your leg on both sides gets wet, and you've got the budget to get yourself the top of the line Grundens waders. Start at the lower price point waders. I think they've got an excellent design. I wanted to have the GORE-TEX top of the line because I put a lot of hours in these things, and they've performed probably better than I expected. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you keep watching. I'm going to quickly cut in the boot review and talk about my Korkers. The one thing I want to say is today, because I'm out on the John Day River here, where there's a lot of grass, a lot of mud, and just brush. I'm not on gravel bars and slippery rocks as much as I am on slippery grass and mud. I changed the soles. So you'll see me recommending the two soles in there. I got the Klingon studded on today. I popped those in just because it's real muddy. I'm not tracking it everywhere. And I'm on a different kind of surface with this grass and this willow. So thanks for watching. Keep watching for the boots. Got an excellent Korker review that I'm going to stick on the end here. Again, that's another excellent product, but all the details coming up. Please subscribe.
All right, for the boots, I've chose the Korkers brand. This is the Buckskin. Again, I purchased these 2 years ago in 2024, early 2024, so it seems like now in late 2025, almost 2026, the new model that's replaced this one as the kind of the low-end lace-up model in their line is the GreenBack. And I like this model, number one, because it's 150 bucks. It's almost half the cost of an entry boot in one of the competitor brands, one of the big name competitor brands. So I was kind of done with that. I was done with the plastic kind of flaring up, or the rubber flaring up along the felt sole. And I finally felt like it was time for me to try, Korker's patented system of sole. So let me talk a little bit about that and the Buckskin. What I really like about the Buckskin in this lower entry level greenback is that it has on it, and what I've noticed, it has all hydrophobic material. Now, if you've worn the other boots from the other brands, some of them, they kind of have that buckskin, that kind of suede. It absorbs the material. You bring your boots home, you set them in the garage, wherever you put them, they dry out. They're basically like potato chips after that, and they're very hard to put on your foot. They shrink, and so that's because it absorbs material, or the material absorbs water, and it shrinks. And so when you go down to the river, you guys might remember this, it's easier to just soak your boots in the water for a little bit and then try to put them on, rather than just going straight from that dry kind of potato chip, hard kind of dry piece of firewood kind of feel they had. And so one of the first things you'll notice with this, after just using these boots, is that you do the same thing, right? You get them wet, you go fishing, you come back, you throw them in your garage, whatever you do, and you come back to use them the next time, and they're not like that. Your foot just slides right in. It's been remarkable. I'm not like having an extra workout trying to pull my boot on. And I believe that is because of this hydrophobic material, as they advertise as kind of one of the features of this boot. So I feel like that's what's going on. That's what's happening. It's made to drain water as well. When you look at some of the advertisement of it and some of the stuff they put out, the way it's designed is made to push water out. People say it's a little colder of a boot because of that. I'm not sure. I went up to the size 13 boot, large wader socks. So I have a bunch of room in there, so my feet are pretty warm. This isn't the lightest boot on the market by any means. It's definitely one of the more affordable boots, and I chose to go with it for that, and I've been very, very impressed with it. Before we get into the soles, as far as wear, I'm pretty hard on shoes. I go through shoes pretty quickly, whether it's a running shoe or it's one of those low hikers, something that you wear every day. I go through them. So with 2 years of fishing on this and some work, fisheries work on these boots, I'm very pleased to see that the only wear on here, I'm not sure if it's this boot or it's my other boot, right here on the lip, there's a little bit of that coming apart. After 2 years of use, grinding this thing through everything in God's creation, that's the only wear. I think I can clean that out and glue that down pretty good. You can see the boot's pretty scratched up and used, the sole. I cleaned these off a little bit to bring them up here into the office to do this, because I wanted to show you the boot a little closer. The only other piece that I noticed, I restrung these with some new laces, right? You're going to go through a pair of laces a year, so definitely buy extra laces when you get stuff. The only other thing that I saw that I thought was potentially of concern is one of these grommets where the lace goes through the boot had come out. I have the pieces somewhere. One fell on the floor in my garage. I'll find it and put it back together hopefully, but that's really the only thing, and that's kind of nitpicky, because as you know, when you're grinding these boots through the brush, the rocks, the water, the ice, the snow, wherever you go, they take a beating, right? And so I was kind of done with it, having to buy $300 boots and them be real slippery, tough to put on. And then of course I saw a lot of that peeling rubber around the base where they connect the base to the sole. So the other main thing about the Korkers that's a huge selling feature that you should really consider is the removable soles. These ones here are the felt studded. You have to get these separate. I highly recommend it. This is the ultimate, you know, the stud with the felts. You don't find too many boots that have this. So when you can have a sole that you can remove and put this on when you need it or use it all the time, it's awesome. And so what I also got with it, now each boot comes with your choice of soles, kind of. There's packages, you'll have to look and see, but these ones I don't think are available on any of the packages. They might even be a little bit more expensive than say the other soles. So the other soles to have, I would recommend, if felt's not your thing, then you get the Klingon studded, which is basically their Omnitrax Klingon sole with the studs put in it. And you can see their patented design where it sticks into the toe, and then you pop it into these things here. It pops in, you can slam it down, and then of course you hook it on right there. I can pull this apart, see how much dirt comes out of my desk, but you know, this is how that goes. Out it comes, you know, real simple, not a whole lot of dirt in there. I do keep these really clean because I go from different streams. I try to let them dry out. Oh, that's the wrong foot. That's why that one's not working. But basically you just pop it in here and then you put the pressure on it. Get that popped in. You know, it's pretty stiff, pretty rugged. Gotta give it a good step. And then you pop that on and you got a new sole. You know, it's a shoe, so it wears, but you can see how tight that fits. Right there, that sole piece fits. That fits really tight. So I'm super impressed with these boots. The only time I've had one of these come off, was when I was fishing in a pretty muddy stream. It was a brown trout stream, cattle grazing, upstream quite a bit, so the edge of the banks, you know, where the water was slow, had a bit of a murk and a bit of a depth of mud in there. And so standing in one spot for 10 minutes, you know, fishing, casting different flies, your foot gets pretty suctioned into that mud. And when I caught a fish and moved my foot up, I realized that it did pull my felt sole off, and was left dangling. I didn't lose it. That's the good thing. You won't lose these because they're attached on here pretty good. They'll just maybe come off in that weird situation. But of all the hours and all the places I've been, that's the only time, and that's a pretty unique spot where you're kind of almost shin deep in mud, and you're kind of stationary for a good 10 minutes or so. That's going to probably put a suction test on this that might max out what they did at the Korkers lab. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, that's basically it. You know, I mean, they have other boots. I will link the Korkers store, Amazon storefront, in the description so you guys can check out what they got. But don't be afraid to try, if you're new to Korkers like I was, don't be afraid to try the low-end boot. It might be a little heavier than some of the other boots, you know, and it doesn't have the lace up, you know, where you're not dealing with the laces and stuff. But this boot here has served me well. Excellent traction. If you're someone that goes in and out of rafts, I want to show you a couple of my other soles. If you're someone that goes in and out of rafts, or you're on an Alaska trip, when you go on a bush plane, you can get the soles that have no studs. This is basically the same sole with no stud. That's good for your raft. Small boats like mine where you're putting your feet up against it, I use this. But if you're worried about that, you can get ones with the studs, and then boom. I think these come with it. These are some of the, here's the felt ones. Obviously I haven't used these. These are brand new. You get some soles with it, but if you want more of the specialty soles like the felt with the stud, and you want the stud, these ones you might have to pay extra for. But When I go on trips, I have multiple soles, so if there's any issue with the boot, I can pop on a new sole and just go right, right to fishing. I feel like it's extra equipment that protects my boot, and keeps the wear down by being able to replace these. It keeps the boot a little bit longer for you. So yeah, that's it. Go to the description, check out Korkers. I really recommend these. I have a lot of time in wading boots with my professional career as a fisheries biologist, and then of course all the fishing that I do. I've worn a lot of wading boots. I've been happy, very displeased, and everything in between. But the Korkers, they seem to be bringing a smile every time I use them. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.